this presentation is on welcoming families to the Issaquah School District and for the kindergarten families for the school year 2025-2026. Welcome families to the Issaquah School District. So here's some demographics about the Issaquah School District. Our school district has approximately 19,200, 300 students, and we are a very diverse community, both culturally and linguistically. We have over 82 different languages that are spoken at home in the Issaquah School District. We have many families who also prefer to communicate with the school in other languages. And if that's the case, please let us know. And using interpreters and translators, we are able to communicate with you to help you best support your child. Approximately 30% of all of our residents in the Issaquah area, Bellevue, Newcastle, were not born in the US. So, what that means to us is that those families may not be very familiar with the Issaquah School District systems and policies. And for that reason, we offer these events. And also, many families who were born in the US, who attended schools in the US, there are so many changes going on in the school system, and we want to make sure that all families know what opportunities, what programs, what the policies are, because we never want to have parents misunderstanding or lack of information or knowledge about school systems, policies, or programs impact their child's ability to succeed in our schools. The last piece of information I want to assure that you know is that the Issaquah School District is very vast. We include areas of Bellevue, Renton, Newcastle, Preston, unincorporated, King County, Sammamish. And the reason I say that is because you will see in your schools that's the address. So while that might be the address, your school will still be part of the big umbrella called the Issaquah School District. And also that impacts our families and our students because sometimes when it snows, your area might not have bad weather or snow, but there might be in another region. And so that will impact the school. Okay. So the next one is the family partnership liaisons and the R department. So on the school district page, you have the family partnership information. And when you go and visit the page, you will note that we have the events posted over here. So you're welcome to check it out and see what events. In August would be the best time because we're wrapping up the YOTA events. All our resources are posted here. So you will see that I have posted last year's event over here. And then all the events we've done this year also posted. In addition, we do a lot of events for the middle school Canvas, and there's some general information in case you have questions. I had several parents ask me about IEP information. You can find that information here. Also, when school starts, there's some information as to who to contact. So you know that there are a lot of resources available to you on this page. Another thing I want to make sure we say today as we start is we have a lot of information that we're going to share. So just take in what you can. And if it's too much, don't worry about it. It's all available on the website in the recording. So you can come to it another time. Or you can email me or one of the liaisons listed here, and we can also help you. The main reason we do this event is to let you know that you are not alone. You have support, many staff who can help you including myself and our team, the family liaisons. So take what you can with this information, and if it's too much, step away and then come back. The only thing I'm going to ask is to fill out the feedback form so that we can send you the slide deck for ease of access. Otherwise, you can go to this resource page and you can get that information. So kindergarten registration starts today. Okay, so today is a big day. So if your child will be turning 5 years old by August 31st, and if you and your family live within the boundaries of the Issaquah School District, you are eligible to enroll in the school. The students with summer birthdays may wait and enroll in kindergarten next year. So this is the parent preference. So we have many families who have August birthdays or July birthdays even, and they choose to wait and have their child enroll next year. It's not a requirement that you have to start your child because your child is 5 in kindergarten. You can choose, especially for summer birthdays, to start the next year. So if you're uncertain about that, you're welcome to call the school principal and the counselor and just discuss this if you have any questions, or you're welcome to talk to your child's pediatrician. The link is on the website, and the link, once you get the slide deck, is over here on the website, over here in my slide deck. New student enrollment. So, new student enrollment, we opened today and it'll continue on, and it's an ongoing process. Okay, so even if you're not sure if you're going to be going to the public school, Issaquah School District, you can still join and complete this enrollment over the summer. As long as you live within our boundary, you are guaranteed admission. So kindergarten enrollment, as I said, is guaranteed, and you start by clicking on the new student enrollment webpage. And the new student enrollment webpage is under enrollment, new student enrollment, and then you're going to start uh, and create an account to start the process. Now, the big thing is if you move and your attendance boundary changes, your student will be asked to move school. Okay. All the paperwork, if you're moving within the Issaquah School District, all the paperwork is super easy to transfer, and you will just have to call the registrar to update your child, your home address, and all that work will start, and they'll support you through this whole process. But know that once you start school, your school is based on your current address, and if you move, then you will change school based on that new address, if applicable. Information about registration. So nearly most all of the registration is online. However, there is some paperwork that may need to be turned in. So usually when you start the application and once it's been approved, the school registrar will email you within a couple weeks, couple days usually, and give you some more information. If it's been a week and you have not heard from the school registrar, please call the school and just double check to make sure. Check your spam folder because it's a common problem that the school's registrar's email to you goes into the spam folder. So look for emails from at issaquah.wednet.edu. The documents that you need to submit and verify include purchase papers or property tax statement or a lease agreement if you're renting a property. Also, a Puget Sound Energy PSE bill at the resident that is listed in your registration form, and the bill must include the parent and guardian name and address and be within 30 days. So that's the key information that you're going to need for residence verification. And you're also going to need some other documents, including some immunization and other forms that you'll see through on the site. Now, one of the new things in the Issaquah School District is open enrollment. Open enrollment means that students that live within the school district can seek to transfer to another school within the school district. Also, students from outside the school district, let's say Bellevue, Lake Washington, Renton, those families can apply to go to one of the schools in our school district. So those are the main things that can happen for open enrollment. And that also begins on March 12th. One big thing to note is there are 4 schools that are already at capacity, and they include Briarwood, Clark, Grand Ridge, and Issaquah Valley. Another thing to note is that currently all of our middle schools and high schools are at capacity. So this open enrollment at this time applies for elementary schools. So you can complete the open enrollment application and start the process, and then the school will have to approve. And students residing in the school district outside the residing in school districts outside the Issaquah School District and want to attend the Issaquah School District, usually it's based the approval is based on space availability, and they decide that Those they decide on those applications after the district in-district transfers have been accommodated. But if you go to the website and if you get my slide deck, you can click on here and get all the information about this process if you're interested in going there. So I see in the chat there's a question about, but I don't know what's my homeschool. No worries, we have a way to help you. So if you're not sure, we have a couple suggestions for you. One, check around and see neighbors around, say, hey, what school, elementary school is your child going to? And based on your next door neighbors, that's probably the same child you're going to. You can also, and this might be a better way to do it, email. And if you click over here, it says contact the Issaquah School District Transportation Department. And if you go to this website, it gives you an, a suggestion, which is to email this address and they will help you verify which school you're going to. And that's important if you live in an area that's kind of on a boundary. For example, my children attend Sunset, but Sunset's boundary with Cougar Ridge boundary is literally across. There's a street, and one side of the street the kids go to Cougar Ridge, the other side of the street the kids go to Sunset. And so, sometimes that might be asking your next door, your neighbor across the street might not work out. So you can also click on the attendance maps. And if you go to the attendance map, you will see a map of the area for that school. So you can find yourself, your street on this map. And this covers all the neighborhoods in the Issaquah School District and shows what school those children will be attending. So school students will follow something known as a feeder pattern. So at the beginning of the session, I talked about the fact that there are 16 elementary schools. And here are the 16 elementary schools listed. And we have 6 middle schools. Maywood, Cougar Mountain, Issaquah Middle, Beaver Lake, Pacific Cascade, and Pine Lake. And then 3 comprehensive high schools and 1 choice high school. And that's something you need to worry about, 8 years from now. But the feeder pattern is a system where your child is going to start at an elementary school. And as long as your attendance boundary doesn't change, that child will then feed into a specific middle school and then to a specific high school. All of this information is based on your home address. And if you change your address, that feeder pattern system might change. So right away, you are able to know what middle school and high school your child will be attending. If you purchased a house, your realtor probably told you, oh, if you live in this residence, your child will go to this elementary school, this middle school, and this high school. You should always double check that because sometimes it's been inaccurate. So just check that to make sure if you want. Also, a reminder that there are some schools where some students might go to a different middle school or high school than the rest of the school. For example, at Issaquah Valley, 80% of the kids go to Issaquah Middle, but about 20% of the kids go to Cougar Mountain. And again, it's all based on your home address. So last thing I want to mention is Issaquah School District is a public school. So all students are eligible to live, all students who live within the ISD boundaries are eligible to roll at an ISD school if they turn 5 by August 31st. And the reason I stress this is many times families think they have to apply. But remember, if you live within the area, you're guaranteed. So when we do an assessment or when you're applying, you don't need to stress out that you will get rejected. Okay? It's all based on your address. Now, the good news is our district has already published our school calendar for the next 2 or 3 days. So if you're making plans, if you're looking to find childcare, all of this information, you can easily go to the Issaquah School District website and look at the school calendar so you know exactly what day school starts. So over here it shows you that school starts on September 3rd for all kindergarten students. However, if you have an older child, School will start on August 28th for students in grades 1 through 12. In addition, things that you need to be aware of is that in the school, there are a couple no school days. In elementary school, there are two work days, meaning that the teachers are working, but the students don't come to school. So the two work days are October 17th and January 26th. There's no quiz. You don't need to know this, but I'm just giving you this information. So when your child is at school, you're not surprised, especially since you are a kindergarten parent and you're going to have to look for childcare. So just giving you some information so you can plan ahead. Also in November, we have something called conference days, elementary conferences. It's a one-on-one meeting with your child's elementary school teacher. And usually the 2 days for conferences, your child will also stay home. And so just keep that in mind if you need to look for childcare. So just keep those days in mind. And again, the link to this calendar is on the website, and I've also embedded it in my slide deck. Many parents also asked about school start time and end time. So the schools all start at approximately 9:15 and end at 3:40 on Wednesdays. Now, this is critical. On Wednesdays, school ends early. So that's another impact for childcare. Schools all end at 1:30. So just keep that in mind. In addition, there might be a few days that school is released early. So watch out for bulletins for those days when that happens. Lori, did you want to add something? Okay, so just keep that in mind. So on the school's website, it'll also tell you about the bus schedule as to what time the buses arrive on the campus and what time the buses depart from campus. And this is just extra information for you to know because your bus will pick your child up from the bus stop at a different time. It's just when the child is dropped off at school. Next, we have an event that is going to be in August for all kindergarten families only. So the 3 days that kindergarten students don't go to school are the 3 days the kindergarten teachers take that time to meet individually with one-on-one meetings with the parent, okay, and the child. And those 3 days are August 28th, 29th, and September 2nd. So on one of these 3 days, for about 20 or 30 minutes, you will have a meeting with the teacher, and your child will also be there. The school staff will contact you regarding this appointment date and time sometime in August. So just keep that in mind. And the meeting with each family, as you said, is going to be separate. And the teachers use this time to talk to the parents to learn more about the child. This is a great opportunity for you to give information about your child so the teacher can best support your child. So the teacher may ask you questions, you may ask the teacher questions, and have a really rich dialogue because this way the two of you together can work to support your child. And this is part of a program called Kids, Washington Kids, and it is to encourage this really great and healthy start for kindergartners to help those families and students be the most successful as they start school. Another great benefit of this program is your child gets to meet the teacher, spend some time with them, fall in love with them, because kindergarten teacher is always a favorite person in their child's life at that age, and then see the classroom, be familiar with the school, see what the bathroom is, where they're going to wait in a lineup before school starts. So it's a fabulous day, and I highly encourage all of you to make sure you attend and do that activity at the school. Now, another activity is called Meet the Teacher. So please, I encourage you to attend both because Meet the Teacher is very different with a very different goal and idea in mind. And this event is for all students in elementary school, K through 5. So check the bulletin for more information, but it's most likely or always occurs the day before school starts, so August 27th. So a couple days before the first day of school, August 28th, you will find out there'll be an email from the school or it'll be in the school bulletin saying, parents, please check your Skyward account to see who your child's teacher is. Okay, so that's step one. And that happens a couple days before school starts. And you'll get that information. And then on Meet the Teacher date, you will go to school, you'll go to visit the class. It's a casual visit, no formal presentation by the teacher. The teacher will have different bins, and your child will drop school supplies in those bins. The teacher may have some papers for you to look at and maybe take home just to start getting you informed about the school. It's a great opportunity for you as a parent to meet the other parents in your child's actual class. And it's also a great opportunity for your child to meet other children in that class, right? So that's the difference between the family connections and meet the teacher. So, two very different things happen, and they're both really important and helpful for your child to do because it very often relieves anxiety and builds excitement for the upcoming school year. And finally, for parents and students, very often an organization called PTSA, Parent Teacher Student Association, which I encourage all of you to join. But this volunteer group and association that supports schools very often organizes something called popsicles on the playground or some kind of event on the playground. And parents all hanging out of the playground, the children are all playing. So, again, this is about creating interactions with other parents and other students to get to know each other. Okay. So, next one, kindergarten. Nowadays, all the Issaquah School District schools offer full day kindergarten at no cost to students. This is very exciting because, again, I'm going to age myself. Back in my day, it was half day and I had to pay to go to full day. So, this is very exciting. So, thank you, Washington State and Issaquah School District. Students in kindergarten follow the same times as the rest of the students at the school. Most schools begin at 9:15 and end at 3:50, and students will ride the school bus with students in grades 1 through 5. But no worries, the kindergarten students are assigned the seats in the very front close to the bus driver, so they are well supervised. The students will have a same teacher in classroom all day, except for, and we'll explain more about this, their PE, music, and library teachers. And if students are taking an MLL, which is multilingual learners, or if they're in the special education program, they might have additional teachers that support them. So we'll explain all about those services and those names, other teachers in a little later slide. And we'll also talk more about transportation at a later slide. A person asked, how is the teacher decided? So there are a couple things. Your child is going to take an assessment. It's called the spring assessment, sometime between April and May. And using information, they assign teachers. And this assessment is not something your child should be studying at all about. This is just to get their general uh, information and level of understanding, because what the school does is it makes sure that teachers have a very varied group of students in their classes. Okay. And so the school will decide, and friends joining, it's possible sometimes you can make a request, but it also depends if the other person makes the request. And it also, there are limits because you can't have a group of 5 friends all in the class. That is going to be very detrimental to their learning. So usually, but with good reason. I've seen requests saying, please make sure our twins are not in the same class. I've seen requests saying, please make sure our twins are in the same class. Seen requests saying, hey, these two kids have been playing together since babyhood, and it's not a good combination. Keep them separate. So explain that. Okay. But the spring assessment gives us academic knowledge to help them with the placement in the school. And it's really to make sure all teachers have a varied group of kids. So don't think that assessment is going to put all the highly capable in one class. That's not the way it works in elementary schools. Lori?
Oh, this one was yours.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I did the last one. That was yours. I'm sorry. Okay, so option. So another option we have is half day kindergarten, and it's offered at all elementary schools. Students attend in the morning for 3 hours. So this is an option parents can choose if they don't think that their child will be able to deal with an entire day at school because maybe they haven't gone to preschool, or they're worried about stamina, or whatever other reason a parent might have. Because again, this is a parent option. The school starts at the same time, 9:15, but right around lunchtime, the parent will come and pick up your child. There's no transportation, but the children can take the bus coming to school in the morning if there's a bus provided. If there's no bus provided, then the parent will do the drop off. But the afternoon, for sure, the parent has to pick up and check with the teacher regarding what school and learning activities occur in the afternoon, because the teachers don't plan or make sure that everything happens so your child doesn't do anything. So just be warned that there are some things that happen in the afternoon that your child will miss, and the school will not uh, change their schedule and planning to ensure that the child is getting everything within that first morning.
And they will
So
miss some of their favorite parts about school. So lunch in the cafeteria, recess outside, and a lot of times of specialist classes like music, PE, library is often in the afternoon.
thank you, Lori. Early entrance. Very often we have families ask, my child is going to turn 5 in September or October. Can I apply? Can they start early? And the answer is depends. They have to go through a process called the early entrance assessment, which is performed by a professional outside the school district. You need to pick up some paperwork from the district office. Maya Green will be able to give it to you if you call that number and make an appointment to come and pick it up. Your child is going to take an assessment by this professional. The district also gives you a list of professionals that we approve for this testing and assessment. And then if the child passes the assessment and gets approval to join kindergarten, then there's a 30-day period. The school principal will observe the child, the teacher will give feedback to the principal, and based on their two evaluation, then the decision will be made to either keep your child in kindergarten, or maybe your child will not be able to stay because of concerns with the development readiness of your child to stay in kindergarten at a time that might be a bit too early for them. So parents, remember, always have the choice to delay having their child start kindergarten. It is not uncommon for some families who have children with summer birthdays to wait for the following year to start their child in kindergarten.
So next I'll share a little bit about some special programs that we have here in Issaquah. The first one is the dual language program. So it's a Spanish-English program. Half of the day students receive instruction in Spanish, the other half of the day is in English. And it is at Issaquah Valley Elementary. Space is limited, and so students are selected through a lottery process. So if you are interested, definitely apply by March 28th. The application is on our district website. And although the program is at Issaquah Valley IVE, families from around the district are welcome to apply, but priority enrollment does go to students who live within the boundary area of IVE. And so make sure to submit your application by March 28th, because applications received after that date will be placed in order that they're received after the lottery. As you can imagine, after the lottery date, we have a long wait list, especially for English speaking students. But we try to fill the class with 50% Spanish-speaking students to serve as those language models. The other 50% are English-speaking or other languages. So after the lottery, extremely long wait lists exist for the English side. If your child is a native Spanish speaker, there tends to be more space. So we encourage you to apply by March 28th, but really apply anytime K through 5. Another program we offer is the Highly Capable program. And so this offers an opportunity for students to get an enriched experience. Maybe they need a little more challenge, a little more extension in their learning experience. So all ISD kindergarten and second grade students are screened to determine if they're eligible for the Highly Capable test and Highly Capable services if they're eligible. And so what that looks like, in primary from kindergarten to second, they have a PEP, primary enrichment program, also known as SAGE, a specialized approach to gifted education. So if your student is eligible, what it could look like is the SAGE teacher maybe pushing into the classroom to do activities, maybe pulling out a small group of students to do a special activity, or it could also look like the SAGE teacher working with the classroom teacher to provide differentiated, so maybe more challenging supports within that classroom and the curriculum. We also have an MLL program that stands for Multilingual Learner, also formerly maybe you've heard it called ELL or ESL. We have very many multilingual students in our district. And so if our students are eligible for ML services, they get extra support within their classroom. So all multilingual students are in the general classroom. If they qualify for services, an ML teacher may push into the classroom to support them, maybe pull out to do small group instruction, or maybe even push into the classroom to co-teach or co-plan a lesson that really helps the language development of all students in the classroom. When your student enters school, they'll be taking a WIDA screener to determine if they're eligible for ML services. And each year they will take a WIDA assessment. So you'll get data on their language development. And eventually, when they're proficient in reading, writing, speaking, and listening in English, they'll be exited from the program. So next, you're probably wondering about how you can prepare your student to be ready for kindergarten and beyond. So next, I'll be talking about some ideas on how to help prepare your child for kindergarten. And just remember that children progress at different rates. They all have their unique strengths and their unique areas of need. If you have concerns about your child's development, you can reach out to your child's pediatrician. We'll also be sharing something called Child Find, and it's free screening that our district offers if you have some concerns about your child's development or learning, and free services for those who qualify. Um, while it's great to focus on academics and building foundational skills, the most important and powerful thing you can do for your child is to encourage their independence and build their confidence in daily routines. This could look like making sure they can use the bathroom and wash their hands by themselves. They won't always have an adult checking to make sure they're washing their hands properly. So really teaching them to wet your hands, get the soap, and keep scrubbing for 20 seconds. Maybe you want to count, maybe you want to sing. They love picking out their new backpacks and coats, but also making sure they have practice being able to put it on. It seems like a simple task, but for a 5-year-old, putting on a backpack, zipping it open, and putting things in can take some practice. So definitely practice that. When they go to snack time or lunchtime, there are many kids in a classroom and only 1 or 2 adults around. And so having kids being able to open their lunch containers or snacks can help them feel very successful, but also have more time to eat. And just thinking through daily routines around the house, making sure they know how to clean up, put things away. And another thing is to be able to um, give your child confidence in saying their name. Maybe they're feeling really shy. You can have them practice saying their name out loud to family members. And then eventually, maybe when they're at the park or on play dates, having them approach other kids and say, "Hi, my name is Lori. What's your name?" Or, "Hi, my name is Lori. Do you want to play?" Those little interactions will help build their confidence when they enter school and help them make more friends. And on the next slide, we have a kindergarten readiness document that you might have received from your schools or will receive when you register, go to their events. This is also available in digital form on our district webpage. So it'll be same content. The great thing about our website, definitely visit it, read through the different tips and tricks. There'll also be embedded links, additional resources that you can use with your child. It goes over different kindergarten readiness skills that you can practice. And then on the right side, where Lorna is opening opening up the little drop-down menus, it'll have different positive strategies to help them be successful for their day. A social story, so it's a story about going to school. It helps them understand what it's like to go to school. and different ways you can practice skills at home, examples about how to talk about math throughout the school, throughout the day at home in your daily routines, and just kind of how to build their social and independent skills. Another thing that you could consider, we're going to share a little bit more about different events that are available throughout the summer. And so definitely mark your calendars when we talk about those events. There are a lot of questions about what curriculum looks like in Issaquah. We have a great, robust kindergarten curriculum. And please know that your teachers, your kindergarten classroom teachers, will be hosting curriculum nights in August or September, where they're going to really dive into all of the curriculum and what it looks like in their classroom. If you want to learn more right now, on our district website, there's robust information around the different content areas, what the curriculum is that is implemented, and what it looks like. Also, a lot of family tip sheets that you can look at. Lots of good information there. And another thing to think about throughout the year, your classroom teacher is going to be sharing newsletters, sharing about what you're learning, but also ways that you can help their learning, talking about it at home, different activities that you can do. This visual right here is from our benchmark literacy curriculum. So throughout a unit, students will be doing activities in this reading and writing notebook. And at the end of each unit, they'll take it home. So you'll get to see all of the work that they've done. They might be writing in it, drawing in it, reading in it, reading stories in it. So definitely spend time celebrating and going through that when they bring it home. And on the back of this reading and writing book, there's going to be an activity calendar of different activities that you can do to support their learning. For math as well, they'll have a math problem set book that they'll send home after each module. And you can see all the wonderful things they're doing in their classroom. And just know that even though you see this workbook, there's so much more that goes on than what's seen in this workbook. This is just something that they might do, like kind of like a worksheet, but there's lots of additional read alouds or discussions, small group work, independent work that happens outside of these workbooks that get sent home.
And usually the workbooks get sent home when the students are done doing activities in that book, just so that the kids and students don't lose the workbook. So you may not see it daily, but know that they're working on it. Sometimes the teachers may put some kind of handout or some kind of document in the child's folder that is called a take-home folder, and you will be checking those folders every day, but especially on Fridays. And the other thing, as a parent, I'm going to tell you, I absolutely loved getting the newsletter from the teacher at the start of the week. Usually they would send it out Sunday night or early Monday to read through it to see what their children were going to learn that week, and just gave me ideas on what kind of questions, say, hey, what did you do? Or I see that you're learning this in science this week. Tell me more, just start those conversations because they are very young. So, for students with disabilities, the school district has, or the schools, all schools have something called a 504 plan. A 504 plan is for school aged students who may be considered eligible, would be the students who have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more of life's activities. If your child already has a 504 plan, that plan will then follow your child to school, to kindergarten. If your child has that plan, make sure you let the school know. The school counselor, having a conversation with the school counselor will be very helpful. If you think your child needs some kind of extra support, talk to your pediatrician or to the school counselor just to see if there's something going on that may be of concern. Or talking to the school counselor or the school pediatrician might start getting the conversation going to see if your child should or may qualify for a 504 plan. So check, this is a conversation really to be had with school counselors if you have any concerns. In addition, the Issaquah School District also has a special education program And very often, students who are in the special education program have something known as an IEP. It's an individualized education plan. So the school is your partner in your child's development, and the program is to best serve and support students. Please note that it is not a stigma to be in the special education program. The goal of the program is to be as inclusive and welcoming to all of our students and to make sure that our students can thrive in our schools. If your child has an IEP because they're coming from a preschool program where they had one, that IEP will follow your child to kindergarten. You will have a case manager who will contact you about the information or your child's individualized education plan. So please communicate with your school if you have any concerns about your child's academic behavior or social emotional growth. Remember, especially in kindergarten, the more you can communicate with the school, with the teacher or the counselor, and that's another place where the family connections meeting will be of great help in having this really heart-to-heart conversation with your child's teacher to see what kind of supports and how the teacher can best partner with you in supporting your child at school. So it is really helpful to be proactive and have these conversations either with the teacher, the counselor, or pediatrician. And Lori had mentioned Child Find before. So if you have any concerns about your child's development, the school district does offer free screening through Child Find, and that link is listed on the school website. In addition, all Issaquah elementary schools have a health room and a school nurse at the health room. If your child is feeling ill or gets hurt at school, they may be sent to the health room, and a health room specialist will contact you. So in the health room, there are two staff. One is a school nurse, it's a licensed RN, and the other person is a health room specialist who is not a medical professional, but an assistant. And that person is similar to a paraprofessional, which is like an assistant to a teacher. So when you are completing your application enrollment for the school, please be sure to inform the school about any life-threatening condition that your child might have, because that's the best way that we can keep your child protected and safe at school. So examples would include severe allergy, and especially ones where EpiPens have been prescribed. If your child has diabetes, asthma, seizure disorders, cardiac condition, or adrenaline insufficiency, it might even be some kind of vision or hearing concern or issue that you might be having. There may be other things that I've not listed, but if there is those are not life threatening, but that's something that you should tell the school nurse, because there are other plans, health plans that your school can partner with you. So partner with the school nurse if you have concerns, and make sure the information is on your confidential health form, which you will be completing as part of your enrollment process. In addition, school nurses have contacts with medical providers to help connect you with medical providers, especially if you need support with insurance. They can look for medical providers that take different types of insurances, vision and dental providers also if needed. And finally, we work with an organization called KidVantage. And for families and students who have financial need, KidVantage supports families, and you can ask the school nurse to help you with clothing or some supplies, and this is primarily for families who have financial need. Immunization. So this page right here shows you what immunizations are required for schools. All incoming students need to have medically verified immunization record before the first day of school. Your student may register for school, but may not attend school until the provider verified immunizations have been received and validated by the school nurse. Just note that if you have your vaccines updated by a pediatrician, or if they are on record in your immunization record, the school nurses do have access to pull those up. So for those of you who have a hard time getting a copy from your pediatrician, the school nurse can help you. But as much as possible between now and school starting, or if you have another appointment coming up, your pediatrician's office can print out your your vaccine record. If you have any questions or you need help with vaccines, please talk to your school nurse and she can help you find places that make appointments. And if you have financial need, the school nurse may be able to find some resources for you. Remember that state law requires students to have a completed certification of immunization status on file so that we are compliant. Okay. School counselors. There are school counselors at all schools. So this is yet another staff member at the school and the school counselors at schools to support the social, mental, and academic development of students. An elementary school counselor typically performs the following duties, which is fostering relationships between peers. Very often, the school counselor may go into a classroom and do a lesson about relationships and getting along. They encourage young learners to adopt more positive attitudes towards school and the learning process. And by the way, if your child wants to talk to the school counselor, goes to the school counselor, it's not a stigma. It is just part of this relationship the school counselor tries to make sure they have with all the students because remember, it's the same counselor from kindergarten to fifth grade. If your family is experiencing difficulties, that person, the school counselor, is a great person for you to access and let them know so they're aware of what is going on in your home. Maybe there's a death in the family, maybe there's an illness in the family, maybe there's unemployment going on. So those kinds of things sometimes you don't realize are impacting the child, but they do. And we want to be partners with the school so that they can make sure they know what's going on with the child because all of a sudden the child might be acting out and it's very unlike their normal behavior. And it helps us understand to empathize and support that child through that. So we want you to help us best support your child by communicating with us about how your child is doing and what's going on. And then we will also, it's all confidential, by the way. That's another thing. Anything you tell the school counselor will not be shared by other members. And the only time it is shared is when the student threatens to do self harm or threatens another student. And then we have to report. We are sort of, we're reporters. We have to do it for state law. So school counselors also will do sometimes peer group meetings at lunch and work with students because sometimes in schools, as you can imagine, in elementary school, there are friendship issues. So very often the school counselor works if there are some friendship issues or conflicts with friend groups of students to help the students learn how to resolve those concerns.
I also just wanted to add into your classroom teachers are happy to learn too. If there's anything going on at home, feel welcome to share it with them. Even small things that seem small. Like I had a student in school and I noticed she was like really sad or just not quite herself. And I reached out to the family and the mom said, "Oh my gosh, I've been away the past couple of days on a business trip." I'm like, "Okay, that makes so much sense. Thank you for letting me know. I can give her some extra love and attention to kind of help her go through these days." And so just when there are any changes going on at home, your teachers appreciate knowing because they can give a little extra support to your child. They're happy to do that. We want your kids to be happy and safe in school. So these are some behaviors and social skills that we teach to help ensure that. Making sure that when we're inside, we're using our walking feet. We have a space bubble where we give people space and keep our hands and our feet to ourselves. We also talk about different voice levels. So this is something you could practice at home too. Like when you're outside, you can use your big voice. When you're inside talking to someone, maybe you're using a table voice. Sometimes they call it like a table or a 6-inch voice, and just exploring with whisper voice, a table talk voice, and a big voice so that they can practice some of those skills. Also at recess, we ask for no touching or rough play at recess because that could scare some kids. And so helping them understand, like at home, sometimes you play rough with your brother or sister, or you might wrestle, but when you're at school, it's important that we keep our hands to ourselves and play gently with our friends. And of course, cleaning up after ourselves when we're doing an activity. Behavior expectations are taught and reviewed throughout the year consistently, whether you're a kindergartner or a fifth grader, and each school will have their big three or big four rules. You'll notice it when you walk into the hallways of the school. For example, here are the expectations at Clark Elementary. It's to be safe, kind, and productive. So it can be helpful for you to use these words, especially the first couple of months of school. At home, oh, thank you for being so safe when you were walking carefully up to the bathroom, or you were so kind when you gave your brother some encouragement, or wow, you were so productive. You put away all of your things really quickly and came to the dinner table. And so just really reinforcing these skills in a positive way, naming when they're doing it correctly. This will really help them transfer that skill when they're at school. And here's a little example of the voice level chart that they'll see. It's actually part of the social studies curriculum where they're learning about the different voice levels, like no talking, whisper, 6-inch, strong speaker voice, or outside, different voice levels they use in the school building.
And as a parent, I'm going to say that when I learned about these voice levels, because I never learned about them as a child since I didn't attend elementary school in the US, but when I learned about this, I used it very often with my children. I was also a Girl Scout troop leader, and I used this very often with our Girl Scout troops. And it was very helpful because then it reinforces this message and it shows partnership and collaboration between the parent and the home, and that we're all working kind of on the same page. So, I love to pay attention to what my child's classroom teacher was saying to them so that I could help my child and reinforce. And sometimes the teachers may even call you and say, hey, they're struggling with this. Why don't you just remind your child that this would be, this is appropriate. So you can get some tips from the school counselor and teacher if you notice that your child is struggling with any kind of these soft skills is what we call them. Sorry, I didn't realize that was my slide right now. Okay, so we talked about specialist teachers. When I became a parent, my child was in elementary school, and she came home and would say, Mom, we're going to a specialist. And it always confused me. I'm like, what is a specialist? What is going on? Which was funny because I've been teaching high school and middle school for 18 years, and that term still surprised me. So, specialist teacher is a teacher that teaches library, music, and PE. And because it is not their regular classroom teacher, that is the term they use to refer to those teachers. They're going to their specialist. So students will talk about what specialist they have that day. So every day, a student will see one of those three, either their PE, music, or library specialist. They see the PE specialist twice a week, the music specialist twice a week, and the librarian once a week. And these are excellent days for them. Most kids love their PE class because they get to run around extra for about 30 minutes, and the teacher teaches them how to play, rules for different games. So it's really organized and helping them understand how to do play with organized instruction. The music teacher, they do music from kindergarten to fifth grade. In fourth grade, very often they learn how to play the recorder. But in elementary school, kindergarten, they talk about music, learn, they do songs. You're going to be going to kindergarten concerts. How I am jealous of that. I loved watching the kids' kindergarten concerts. So you'll be invited as they're learning different songs and they perform. They also do a little bit of music theory and so forth. And then in the library, library is wonderful because that class is designed to help students know how to use a library, how to check out books, treating books kindly, and how also the library is organized. The librarian may read to them, also help them understand what kind of genre they might be interested in reading, and so forth. And the children love checking out books, one or two books, maybe more, depending on the librarian, and then bringing them home. And you can help the child by reading and encouraging them to read those books. That is the big homework. Very often kids don't have homework. Some people asked about that. There's very little to no homework in kindergarten, but very often the teachers will say, be sure that you read to your child, or your child is hearing some kind of reading for at least 10 minutes every day. So those books they choose might be them telling you that they're interested in that, and then you helping by reading that book to them.
And
So
reading it and rereading it multiple times. And when the story becomes familiar, have your child read it to you. They might not be reading the words, but they might be using the pictures to retell the story, which is a very important skill as well.
And the schedule I'm showing you is just a general schedule, but the very first week of school, maybe even earlier, depending if the teacher knows, they're going to share the specialist schedule with you. So this one is a little bit different because this teacher doesn't have a specialist on Wednesdays, but sometimes it's hard for some teachers to have specialists on Wednesdays since it's a shorter day, so they don't have as many specialists cannot, some, the teacher might not see a specialist that day. But your child, you'll see that in the schedule, there are two times they're going to music special teacher, twice they're going to the PE teacher, and once to the library teacher. It's very important that you keep in mind what day is the PE day. Mainly for me, it was important for me because my kids, especially when it was raining, like to wear boots or rubber boots to school, and you want to make sure that they are wearing tennis shoes on those days. Okay, so we'd always remind the kids to wear tennis shoes on their days that they had PE.
It's also
So
helpful to help them remember their library day because they need to remember to bring their book back so they can borrow a new one.
thank you, Lori. Next person is a para educator. So all schools have elementary schools have several para educators, and your child might refer them to them as the recess teacher, the lunchroom lady, or the lunchroom teacher, or they might say they might refer to them as the teacher helper, or they might just call them the teacher, but she is an assistant to the teacher in the classroom. So know that these are para educators and they're non-certificated staff. They're called classified staff, and they are there at school to support teachers and principals and administrators. Make sure your child is safe at school on the playground, in the lunchroom, in the classroom, in the hallway, in many different areas, and also the health room is assigned a para educator, so they have the same respect and listening as the classroom teacher. Elementary school libraries. All schools have a library, and we talked about the fact that your child will be visiting the library once a week and they will check out the books of their choice. The librarian teaches them library skills, care, checkout procedures. They do lessons with the students and reads to the students. And very often, this is one place that you, if you're interested, can volunteer in the school. Many of the libraries have several community volunteers to help check out books for the students or to file books back on the shelves. So we're going to talk about opportunities to volunteer at school as a parent, but this is one of the ways. School events. Some schools have events such as the book fair, and it's basically a day set up where there are many shelves and students can go shopping to find books and buy books. The books are all, and this was very helpful for me because I didn't know about the reading levels. And so it was helpful that these books from at the book fair had already been um, identified as to what reading level they were. And so when my child's teacher told me what reading level she was, I could help her and help her buy books at her reading level or maybe slightly higher or slightly lower, depending on what we were trying to do at that time, to ensure that she was able to access struggling a little bit or not too much, depending on what the goal was. So it's helpful to find the reading level books. or books at the reading level of your child. It's also a fundraiser for the school because some of the money goes towards helping the school get more books for the school library or for teachers to restock the books in their class. Because sometimes my daughter would bring home books from the library or sometimes from the teacher's classroom where the teacher had certain books that they just loved and my daughter would borrow a book from the teacher. So flyers will be sent over. In addition, the PTSA will sponsor events. It could be a literacy night, a STEM night, a STEAM night, a spooky spaghetti night, or a bingo night, or a gingerbread house night. So, depending on the school, different school PTAs organize different events. And so, we encourage you to join PTA or to at least hear what the PTA is offering so you can partner or attend events at the school. Finally, many parents in the registration form also asked about after school activities or extracurricular activities. In elementary schools, we don't really have many extracurricular activities, it's very slim. There might be some kind of reading program, but it's or a music group like a choir at that school. But if you're looking for after school activities in kindergarten, your best bet is to look at a flyer called Peach Jar that's on the school's website. They'll also be sent to you at home. And those flyers post classes, after school events once a week only, so it's not a care. It might be a chess 8-week course to learn how to play chess or drama, 6 to 12-week drama class, which might be more often. My daughter did a piano class after school at one of us once it was offered. And these are very often by outside vendors, not by the school. So just keep that in mind. But those opportunities for after school events would be posted in the Peach Jar for your school. So be sure you're looking. There's going to be an email that you'll see, and it'll say Peach Jar that you will be able to get or you can subscribe to from the school.
So PE, if you ask students, what's your favorite thing about school? They usually say recess or PE. And so they get to go to PE twice a week with their PE teacher, and they learn to play a variety of different sports and different games, exposed to lots of different activities. Also sportsmanship skills like encouragement, teamwork, cooperation, fair play, following rules. They do lots of fun things. Most gyms also have, as you can see in this picture, maybe a little bit of rock climbing. They might explore with tennis or basketball or baseball, lots of different things. They'll also go to music. As Lorna mentioned, in the upper grades, they learn how to play the recorder. At I think third grade, they play the ukulele, and they learn.
I don't remember ukulele, but maybe it was COVID, but I remember the recorder at fourth grade because they bring it home.
Oh, and it's very loud. It's hard to forget that. Yeah, they learn how to play the ukulele, to explore drums, singing, dancing, and of course those concerts. Very exciting. Each school has a big and beautiful playground, and kids get to go to the playground twice a day, sometimes more. They have two recesses. Usually one is in the morning, and the other recess is connected to their lunch period. In addition to playing outside, kindergarten classrooms also have dedicated playtime within the classroom as purposeful play, part of WALK Kids in kindergarten. And out at recess, it's a very safe place. They have those paraeducators wearing vests, walking around, helping managing behavior, helping students solving conflict issues, and just hanging out with them and having a good time. All of our playgrounds are also very safe because they have fences and locks or walls that surround the perimeters. And for lunch, students go to lunch in the cafeteria. They have this large space, and each classroom sits together on their table. The classroom teacher doesn't go to lunch with them, but they have paraprofessionals and other staff members that walk around to monitor and support students. This is where it would be really helpful if they can be independent with opening their home lunch containers or their food containers. That means that they'll have more time to eat. Lunch is quite short from the time they walk into the classroom, walk through the line, grab their food, sit down and eat. It's a 20-minute lunch period. You can see the school menu on the district website. You'll see there's a variety of meatless options and different choices that students can make each day. And of course, kids can choose to either bring a home lunch from home or buy school lunch. If families are in need of financial assistance, please apply and submit for the free or reduced lunch program. And just know that to be eligible, you have to complete the paperwork each year. So here's a little example of what could be on a lunch menu. So every day there's a hot option. And so an example for this day, it was whole grain corn dogs with peas and mandarin oranges. At the top, you'll see they will stand in line. They'll pick from the blue carton, either chocolate milk or white milk, and then they'll pick a fruit or vegetable. Then they'll go through the line to pay for their lunch. Then they'll walk through and pick either their hot lunch option. Baked potato is an option every day. And there's also a yogurt lunch option that comes with yogurt. It has a bagel as well. And schools also have a salad bar that kids can go and take different fruits and vegetables to taste. Most of the kindergarten bathrooms are not in their classroom, they're out in the hallway. So students learn to walk independently. Maybe at the beginning of the year, they might be walking with a friend or walking with a class, but eventually students are walking by themselves down the hallway and going into the bathroom. And so practicing using bathrooms, this could be a helpful thing for you to do, especially if your child might be afraid of using public restrooms, because for a little kid, sometimes it can be really intimidating going into a big, loud bathroom. The toilet, maybe the flushing scares them, maybe it's really loud, maybe they're afraid to be by themselves in the bathroom stall. And so just having them practice, maybe you're out at Costco, having them go into a stall by themselves, locking the door, using the restroom, and coming out.
And
And
then
was there?
washing hands.
Oh,
And then
and
washing hands when they come back out.
and washing hands, yes. And so, as you can see, they might be responsible for washing their hands by themselves when they come out. And so, as I mentioned before, have them practice, really ingrain in them how to wash their hands independently and keep scrubbing for about 20 seconds. And accidents happen, so you can send in a change of clothes in case of an accident. It's really helpful for you to send in clothes that your child would be comfortable in if they have an accident. If they do not have a change of clothes, though, it's okay because the school health room does have extra clothes available for students who need them. Here are some pictures of classrooms in Issaquah School District. When you go into a kindergarten classroom, you'll see very happy, bright spaces. You'll notice flexible seating, so different seating options. I know some families say, oh, my child is so wiggly. I'm so worried that they'll have to sit in a chair. We know that kids are very wiggly, so you might see, like in this classroom, they have these blue scoop chairs. They might have little wiggle seats. Sometimes students are standing up at their desk so they can stand up and work, but just being flexible in that movement and options for seating. There are play materials. There are spaces in the classroom for whole group instruction or small group instruction. This picture on the right, schools have parent volunteers. A volunteer option is to become an art docent. So this picture is a mom who is leading an art lesson with some other art docent parents, and they're teaching kids how to do, I think they're doing some snow art there. This is some examples of kindergarten reading and choice activities. So as I mentioned, there will be whole group lessons, read alouds. There also will be in the middle picture, as you can see, the teachers are pulling students to work either individually or in small groups, and kids learn how to use computers. Each classroom has a set of laptops. We have different ed tech tools such as iReady for math and language arts, where the student goes in, they have their individual login account. And so that's where they take an assessment and it's adaptive. And so it puts them on a learning path that's individualized to their needs. And so it kind of is a way to differentiate and meet students at their levels. There'll also be spaces for small group instruction within a classroom. Here's an example of a kindergarten visual schedule. So any classroom you go into, they will have a visual schedule of the day. So the students understand there's this consistent and predictable schedule and different subjects covered throughout the day. Students might walk in and have different reading choices. Students have snacks in the classroom. They might go out to recess. They might have a morning meeting where they gather as a classroom community to have discussions and talk about different things the classroom is going through. Every day, students will engage in literacy, so phonics, reading, your writing, listening, speaking. They'll have a chance to go to lunch, have recess, have maybe math in the afternoon, and that's where we see our PE, so where they have a different specialist class once a week. One specialist class a day. And in the afternoon is usually when they have their playtime. Playtime is usually about 45 minutes to an hour. And then before you know it, it'll be time to pack up and the day will be done.
Lori, we have a question. Are
Sure.
snacks provided or do we have to purchase the meal plan? So can you talk more about
For
snacks?
snacks, for
Yes.
snacks, oh yeah, so you can purchase school lunch, but for snacks, snacks are not provided. Parents are expected to send in a small snack that a student can eat.
And one of the things also want to say is sometimes parents are concerned that their child will not get enough food through the course of the day. I know my kids usually had at least two snack times in kindergarten, first grade, plus their lunchtime. So they have plenty of opportunities to eat. So just break out their meal into smaller chunks so that maybe they're eating a small snack, couple carrots or couple fruits at different times. And so then, they know what item they're eating for snack time and what they're eating for lunchtime. The teachers very often parents donate snacks to the class so the teacher can give snacks to kids who are not bringing. So your teacher will often send an ask saying, "Hey, kids are eating snacks. Many kids are not bringing snacks. Can you please donate?" So keep that in mind. You can donate. You can make sure you're giving your own. And so it's usually just like a 10-minute break period for their snack time. Um,
And they also have their little cubby spaces. So when they go into classrooms, they'll have their little space to put their backpack in a small bin for other items. As you notice around the classroom, many areas are labeled with their name. And so it's really important to help your child be able to recognize their name before the first day of school. It's something that they're going to have to find or write often. So practicing writing their name and also recognizing what it looks like will help them be successful through navigating different spaces in the classroom.
Okay, so buses. Kindergarten transportation. This is a link, by the way, that'll take you to the kindergarten transportation page. So for students who don't live within walking distance, and walking distance can vary for actual distance in miles, or it might be that it's not safe path from the child's home to the school that they would have to walk on some kind of road. And so depending on that, school has tested all of that. The child may be eligible to take the school bus for free. And the students who are eligible to take a school bus, they will be able to take the bus to school and also come home. And just a reminder that half day kindergarten, there's only transportation to school. Parents will have to pick them up. Also, if you are transferring from an area that is not within the school boundary, so let's say you live in the Sunset area, but you want to go to Cougar Ridge, there is no transportation to go to a school outside your attendance boundary. One of the things I highly encourage of you all is when you complete the release form for transportation, please make sure you send a photo of your child if your child will be taking the school bus, because the bus drivers right now, even in middle and high school, they print out the photos of all the kids who ride the bus for safety reasons. But in kindergarten, because the kindergarten students take the bus at least a week or two before the photos have been taken, the school photos are taken. It's really nice that the school bus driver have a photo of your child, that, especially the first couple days, because some kids are so kind of nervous or scared, they're nonverbal, and it's hard for them to talk or ask for help or say anything to the bus driver. So just for safety reasons, be sure to just send take a digital photo and then include it or email it. There'll be an
Yeah.
address there that you can email.
On the release form that you're required to fill out, there's a spot for you to add the picture.
Oh, it's not live. I'll check that link, but look at that. And if you cannot print it out and send it, you can email it to the transportation department, that email that you have.
And the
Uh,
email will be on the release form too.
Perfect. Um, the route information, it's usually available about a week or two, and there's a link that you can go an account your child's bus route information. But I noticed that our new Skyward also has bus times for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday morning. For Wednesday afternoon, we're still tweaking that, but there's route information can be found on the school's website, and you're just going to go to, there we go, to buses, and under buses, you're going to go to the site that says find your bus route, and then there's information, and you have to use a username and password. All the instructions are here to find your child's bus route. Okay. And this site, by the way, also has information about weather closures and everything. But if you're just looking to learn more about the school, that's a great place for you to go to. Now, the favorite one, and that is ride the big yellow school bus. If your child has never done a camp that they got to ride a school bus, or this is the first time, I would encourage you to go to the school district sponsored event on August 12th. You need to sign up for this event by August 11th so they know how many buses to have and how many bus drivers to hire. But it's a ride along so you and your child can practice riding the bus. Lots of excitement, lots of photos taken on this day. It's a great day to show how tall your child is compared to a school bus wheel. That was
Mhm.
my photo. But it's a fun day for the kids. The transportation department does a great um, job doing this event. The school, there are a couple questions I'm getting about security, so let's answer them. The school doors are locked. All of the outside doors are locked, and even entering the school, you enter the school and then you have to be buzzed in to go to the office. And then out to leave the office, you also have to be buzzed to leave the office. So, yes, the school is secure.
When kids
Yes,
come off the bus, there's a lot of adult supervision on the school.
okay, a lot of the para educators, teachers, administrators are there. The students will all line up in a specific zone and area, and then in kindergarten, the teachers walk the students into the classroom. But the kindergarten teacher will go over these routines and information with you on Walk It. So that's why the Family Connections Day is so important and helpful. A parent is asking, what supplies should I take with my child? And the supply list you're going to find on each school's website. So let's say you're going to Challenger, you can go to the Challenger's website, and under our school, um, sorry, academics, you'll find the supply list. Okay, so that information is there. Another question, um, yes, the students will all be taught emergency procedures for lockdowns, for drills. The first couple weeks, the teachers do a lot of work. They do a practice the first day or the second day of school to say, hey, if there is a fire drill, this is how we evacuate, this is how we go, this is how we do. The first day of school, the students learn how to line up so they can leave the classroom in an orderly fashion. The teachers take attendance. There's a lot of teaching done so the students know how to react during different emergencies. The school does a practice lockdown, fire drill, earthquake drill, shelter in place drill. There are many drills that they do, and we can talk about that. Uh, so questions. The school district also has a safety page. So if you have questions about safety concerns, I would encourage you to go to this page to find out information on what the school has done for safety in the school. But the other big one I would recommend that you do is if you go to your child's school page, every single school has their elementary handbook posted. And that's a really good place to go to just make sure you know what the procedures are for that school. Also, you're asking about emergency information. What happens is that the fire drill or there's a reunification for whatever reason. All of that information is posted here. So you have that information and you know what kind of routines and plans we are doing to help prepare our students and to keep them safe. So there are many what ifs that I can't unfortunately answer all in this time. So spend some time doing that. And if you have additional questions, you can ask me or the school office or the school nurse. Another question that was asked was when school starts, um, we already talked about this, the school supplies, but can I send a lunch bag for my kid? And the answer is yes. You will definitely need to, one of your supply items, if you're planning on sending your child to school with a lunch, is to buy a sturdy lunch bag and a water bottle so that your child has access to the lunch and the water bottle. Um, and a big question that I was asked, I want to get to that before we get to more questions, is before and after school care. All 16 schools in the Issaquah School District do have before and after school care, but there is a wait list for all 16 of them. So if you are interested in having your child participate in the before and after school care at the school, which is very convenient and much cheaper than other places, please be sure to go to the site and join the waitlist for your school.
Do it
And
tonight.
yes, do it tonight because as early as possible. And then this way, when your name comes up, when your number comes up, you can say yes. But also be sure you are looking for emails from them because I have worked with couple parents whose names came up and an email was sent to them, but they didn't respond. And so then their spot was given away. So just make sure you're kind of making note and just seeing where it is. Um, because fifth graders and sometimes fourth graders stop going to before and after school care, spots will open up. And so you want to make sure you're on that wait list for childcare, to join that program. We also have great summer camps, but if your child is going to start kindergarten next year, your child is not eligible for summer camp this summer, but they will be next summer, and they do a lot of fun activities, so just keep that in mind. So, what's next? So, one, we talked about familiarizing yourself with a handbook, seeing where some of the school announcements are, the bell schedule is, and all of that information. Note that between now and August, you need to complete your registration and then you will be invited by the school to come and do a pre-assessment or a screening. Note, you do not need to make your child test or study or do any preparation for this. This is just for an evaluation to see and make sure the classes are balanced. Um, Review the elementary book if you have some time. It's big, so take your time. You don't have to, but it's a great resource for parents. Ride the school bus, great opportunity for students who will eventually ride school buses. I will be doing a follow-up session called tips and resources. So for this session, we'll talk more about lunch, more about transportation, getting your child's schedule if needed, tips for the school bus, uh, different things that we will be covering, school expectation, how to communicate with the school, attendance information. So if you're interested, you may sign up for that and you can join us for that event. The 27th, mark your calendar for Meet the Teacher. Mark your calendar that you'll be invited on the 28th, 29th of September 2nd for Family Connections. And then the biggie, what we're all getting ready for, September 3rd, the first day of school. And I believe September 3rd is a Wednesday, so it's going to be an early release day. So it's a great way to start. So it's not going to exhaust your child fully. They'll go to school, come home early. They'll have to go through Thursday all day, Friday, and then boom, 2 day weekend. So they'll have a weekend to recover from their first week of school. So that brings us to the end of our session. If you wouldn't mind, please complete the feedback form so that I learn from what was best and what was helpful for you about the session, what other information, other questions you may have or had, and that you'd have liked to learn. If you have any questions, please contact us. Names are on the link. I also sent it when I sent you the form, the first group of parents. The names of the liaisons were on the invitation with the Zoom link. We strongly recommend that you join the PTSA just because for kindergartners especially, they have sometimes summer playground events. It depends on the PTSA. I cannot guarantee you that all 16 schools PTSA organize summer play dates, but most of them do. And it's a great way to meet other parents and other children who are going to be joining the school. And sometimes they end up creating kindergarten Facebook groups, and so this way, your child will, my husband and I are in our kindergarten Facebook group, my daughter, when she joined, and we still kind of keep that group as she's moved to middle and high school. So it's a good group to have. Um, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I'm going to cover some questions that were in the chat and then some questions on the handout. Lori, I might ask you and we can do question and answer. So it'll be a little bit easier. So let's look at the first question and it says, are there any enrichment classes at the school, either before school or after school?
So enrichment classes. And so there's some clubs that are available sometimes. So every school, what they do is they survey students to see what their interests are. And so there can be student-led clubs or teacher-led clubs. So those kind of vary from school to school. I've seen in the past like a different like a PE, like a running club. Maybe they have a music club. Can you think of any other examples, Lorna?
Those are
I've
the
had I
main
said a
ones,
dance one, a dance club.
and it very much varies by school. And also just check if kindergartners can participate because I've seen those clubs and most often I see them in higher levels. And I'm wondering if the question about enrichment is for more learning for math or reading or writing. And sometimes students who need additional support in those, I'm wondering if the question is about maybe being in a title or lab program for students who need additional services in that.
I don't, sometimes I know that depending on the need, they might have, like I know after COVID, they had what they called recovery services, where they had additional before or after school tutoring for certain groups of students who needed it. But if there are opportunities available, your school or your teachers would reach out to you.
Lori, can you give some examples how teachers can be involved in school?
How teachers can be involved with school or
Oh,
how can
sorry,
parents?
parents. Sorry, parents
Yeah,
can be involved in
so
school.
volunteer in the classroom. You can also volunteer in the libraries. That would be very helpful. Consider becoming an art docent. That's if you want to spend time in the schools, but also, like we mentioned multiple times throughout this presentation, is really having those conversations at home. So attending events to know what's going on in school, reading your teacher's newsletters, and really talking about things that they're learning. I think that makes a huge impact.
Another question is there any kind of nap time provided?
Math? Oh, no, nap or math? Oh,
Nap.
nap time. They don't have nap time in kindergarten.
Okay. How likely is it that my child will have the same teacher as the older siblings?
Mm,
Is it possible to request?
it is possible to submit a request. I think school buildings, when they do enrollment for the next year or when they have open enrollment, they do say your parents are welcome to do requests, although they're not guaranteed.
Okay. Can we send peanut butter to school, or what are some concerns around allergies?
Mhm. So your school building or your teacher will let you know about specific allergies. And so if there's a student in the classroom that has a severe nut allergy, that classroom might be a nut-free zone. And so you would be asked to not send in peanut butter or whatever they're highly allergic to during snack time. In the school cafeteria, there's also an allergy table. So if students are highly allergic to something, the families can opt for them to sit on a separate table.
And I'm going to answer the last question before we go to the chat. The question was about maybe a parenting plan or court protection order. If your child has a parenting plan or court protection order, please make sure that you submit all of that paperwork to the school. And so the school has that information on file and they will keep it so that the front office knows so that they can keep your child safe. Okay. So there are some questions about how to show the tax information, sorry, the property the statements for residence verification. If you're not sure if your document works, I would be sure to call the school registrar and say, this is what I have. And that usually will work. I believe the property value notice that you get from the county with your name and address on it, I believe that works, but you can double check with your registrar because I remember once it came right as I was registering my younger daughter and I just took a photo of it and submitted that. So I believe that will work. Another question is, are there opportunities for students to learn other languages outside of the Spanish immersion program?
Right now, we just have the dual language Spanish program.
Okay. Another question is, if we pick up our kid at school at 3:30, does our kid have to wait inside or outside the school?
So if
Can
you're
you,
picking up your child early from school, you would let the teacher and office know, and then the student would wait in the office for you, and then you would sign the student out from the front office.
so you have to go into the building to pick up your child if you're
But
coming.
if you pick them up before dismissal time.
Yes. And then at dismissal time. So if you're picking up your child when school is dismissed, the teacher literally walks the whole class out. She puts some kids on the bus. She will release some kids to the parents in the car and then go to the area where parents are waiting for the walkers, we call them, and send them to those parents. So that's a very controlled release. Kids don't come running, swarming out of the school building as you see in movies. That's not real.
Mhm.
It's
Yes, and
very,
lots of
very,
adult supervision.
yes, it's a very, very controlled release of students. The only kids that might do that would be fourth and fifth graders, but kindergarten, first, second, third grade students, it's coming out with the teacher in a line and control. Um, we answered that question. So
And
there are
speaking of
many states.
dismissal, the teacher walks kids out to go onto the bus. Something that can be really helpful if your student is riding the bus is teaching them how to recognize the bus number on their bus and also recognize their bus driver's face, because that'll help them get into the correct bus.
Hey, at this time, I believe I've answered the questions that I can that are in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. So if you have